Hey everybody, welcome back live at Drew's House Joppa Afternoon Drive. Hope you are doing well. It feels like we've kind of made that official turn into spring. Why did I say that? We're bound to get a snowstorm now, right? No, just kidding. It feels good out there. Hope everybody's doing well. And yeah, we're flying right through the month of March. March Madness. Here we go. Basketball, all that stuff. All the signs of spring. Another sign of spring. Dogs outside. Cynthia Sweet joins us for the founder of Sweet Paws Animal Rescue. You got the great sweatshirt on there. I see those all over the place, by the way.
Oh,
People love Sweet Paws.
Yeah, hopefully they do.
I know more people that have got dogs from Sweet Paws and just rave about all the great work you guys do.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much.
All right, so let's start with the rather unflattering part of the job right now, though, because it's not exactly great to be working where you are, right? It's kind of
It is not just like sunshine, rainbows, and puppy dogs and kittens.
We got problems.
Yes, we do have problems, so I'm going to get right to it. Yeah. So pre-COVID, 2019 and prior, we've been around for about 13 years. 3% of our yearly intake of cats and dogs traditionally, historically, came from the Deep South. So most of the rescues in New England, most of their animals come from Mississippi, Tennessee, Louisiana, basically the areas in the country that are socioeconomically depressed. Mm-hmm. And, 97%. The other 3% would be rescue cats and dogs here from the Merrimack Valley, north of Boston, North Shore, Fitchburg, Leominster. And so let's just, for example, say out of any given year pre-COVID, we would maybe take one or two stray, and I use the word stray with very, very strong air quotes, which would basically just be a dog that somebody dumps on the side of the road. And the news would come out and like do a story because, Massachusetts, people don't dump dogs. Or there'd be a Doberman tied to a telephone pole in Salem and Channel 4 would come out. Yeah. That was pre-COVID days. And it would be an actual news story if we rescued a stray dog. Right. And cats are sort of a whole nother ball of wax. But so post-COVID, so now we're, 4 years this year is basically when COVID started. So now our percentage is gone from 3% Massachusetts stray and abandoned animals to over 30%.
Oh, wow.
So people say, okay, that's heartbreaking, but what does that mean, right? What does that mean? Yeah. Everybody says, is it because of COVID? And I say, well, yeah. This is how everybody finishes that statement. Everybody during COVID went out and got a dog, right? Or a cat. And yes, that happened. But now we are seeing the sort of 3 to 4 year old dogs that people adopted during COVID that have behavioral issues. A lot of people got dogs from breeders and they didn't spay and neuter. So now you have the United States is sort of overwhelmed with this age of like 2 to 4 year old, 3 to 4 year old dogs who were adopted out as puppies with major behavioral issues.
So it's not just our neck of the woods. It's
everywhere now.
It's everywhere in the whole country.
Everywhere.
Okay.
Yep. Here's another statistic that people are like, oh my God. So I'm 40. I'm going to be 49. I've been doing this for 20 years, and until maybe a month ago, we got 2 in the same week. I had never rescued a litter of puppies like that was a real true, oops, I didn't get my female dog spayed and I had an unneutered dog in my house. Yes, have we taken in hoarding situations, backyard breeder, situations where law enforcement was involved, not just, oops, I got a dog from a breeder 2 years ago and I haven't gotten him neutered, and oops, I got this rescue dog that wasn't spayed, and oops, I didn't realize that they could have puppies. Yeah. We took 2 oops litters in 10 days. We had never rescued one in 20 years.
Wow. Okay.
It's crazy.
Basically, moral of this story is people suck too, right? Is that what we're going with?
I know, and it's funny that you say that because I try not to say that every day. And yes, people always say, God, you just must be so, angry at everybody. I am, but Sweet Paws is made up of over 300 amazing volunteers, because we're volunteer powered, who help me steer this ship every day, and if it weren't for those people, these animals would have no shot at a second chance.
How do you keep, is it almost hard to detach yourself, because you obviously get into this business because you love animals and you love saving animals, right?
And the money, the money and the perks,
yeah, all the
private jets, my new Range Rover. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I almost lost my headset laughing at that. But you get into it because of this love of animals, and to see, this this is bad handling of dogs. These bad dog owners, whether they were too immature to get a dog in the first place, whatever be the case, whatever the reason being, you see this dog that didn't deserve this end up, a stray dog, or however the correct term is.
Yeah.
Is that not the correct term? Stray?
No, 100% correct.
That's okay. So
stray, dumped, abandoned.
How hard is it to? I mean, it obviously still drives you crazy to see this, but you almost have to turn your head and say, we'll figure it out. We got a million of these. Let's go. This is what we do. And you almost have to detach yourself from the emotional side.
If you don't detach yourself at some point, you just become so bogged down with the emotional overwhelm that is just constant disappointment in humans. Give me an abandoned, abused dog till the day is long. It's just because they don't choose to be in that situation. It's sort of thinking of humanity and how that animal got into that situation in the first place is what really is the overwhelm for most animal rescuers.
Yeah. Okay, give me an abused dog every day. I like that.
I can deal with the dogs, no problem. Makes me sad, but I can fix them.
Yep.
I can't fix the ignorance of what we deal with when in respect to the people that are doing the abusing, doing the dumping, doing the, let me have a litter in my basement and that
This is
stuff.
such there's no real direction for this question, but I ask myself all the time, how could you just leave a dog?
That is so funny that you say that, because I was talking to my elderly neighbor this morning who always asks me every single day how it's going. And I'm always like, Eileen, you want to hear how it's going? And I actually was just sort of thinking last night, because most rescuers, they work sort of 24/7, and it's shoveling against the tide, and you never have any downtime, and there's really no light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
Because you could feel, I saved 15 today. Woo, let me go have a drink. But then you have to wake up the next morning. You've got 5,000 other emails that you have to answer to. But to answer your question, is how could somebody just dump a dog? What is happening post-COVID is much different than the person that would dump a dog pre-COVID, because of the fact that shelters and rescues across the United States are full. Over capacity. And I know this is probably not anything that any human wants to hear, especially if they have a heart or if they're an animal lover, is, oh my God, I'm putting my hands over my ears. I don't want to hear it. It makes me too sad.
Right.
Okay, well, we have gone backwards in respect to any progress that we've made with animal welfare, spaying and neutering. And so we're going to go back to the 70s, and we're going to have to start euthanizing animals. And it all comes down to who are dumping the dogs. That could be another 5-hour segment, but it all comes down to where the dog was dumped and what kind of dog it is.
So is the theory there that these people that got dogs during COVID, they're not the people that maybe in the past that got animals, maybe they didn't know well enough
Correct.
to get the dog spayed or neutered, and now you have this? Well,
there's two sort of categories, if you will. There are the breeders that sell animals that are not, it's for money, right? It's a for-profit business. And then you have rescues and shelters who, by law, we would never, but by law, are required to spay and neuter their animals before they adopt, which is great, right?
Yeah.
But there's no oversight for breeding in the United States. So that has just gone crazy with the hype of the doodle, the schmoodle, the boggles, the mini Berna schmoodle, all of these not even hybrid, designer dogs, so you have the overpopulation of people who just don't spay and neuter, which is basically the entire part of the southeastern part of the United States. And then you have the creation of this designer dog, like the Frenchies with the green eyes. And now you have just created a perfect storm of, there are too many.
Yeah.
That's there are too many. It's almost like there are too many people in the world. There are too many dogs and cats in the United States, and there are not enough homes. Somebody gave me a statistic the other day, and it was like, if everybody took a dog or a cat into their home, we would still have a gazillion left. It was some crazy thing. There are just too many being produced in the United States and not enough help.
It's crazy because you have enough dogs just rescuing from down south, right? If you just wanted
They didn't stop hooking up during COVID. And what unfortunately happened is all of those low-cost or no-cost spay and neuter programs didn't operate during COVID. So we had for 13 years made huge progress in our small pocketed rural areas in Mississippi and Alabama. Huge progress because we partner with Mississippi State University, and they have these huge tractor trailer trucks that just go and spay and neuter the hell out of everything, right?
Yeah.
Well, they didn't operate for 2 years. So it's not like the dogs and cats were like, we're just going to take 2 years off. Nope.
Yeah.
So now we're back up to where we were pre-COVID, pre sort of, like 80s overpopulation numbers. But then you have all the people in the New England area who we know better than that.
Yeah.
And then people just were like, I had a husky when I was growing up, and I loved their blue eyes, and now I have a 2-year-old husky. I never got him neutered because I couldn't afford it, but I could afford to pay a breeder for him, and I never got him neutered, and now he's eating my couch because I don't go outside, and now I'm back in the office, and now what's going to happen to the husky?
Yeah.
We're rescuing 9 huskies in the next 10 days.
Wow.
All under a year old. All different. 9.
Wow.
9 times. 9 huskies. It's a lot, right? It's husky season right now.
It probably is that similar storyline, too, of something like that, right? That's a dog that needs exercise, like so many do.
Boom. And then all of a sudden, you're like, oh, I didn't realize this dog is, like, bred to pull sleds in Alaska, and I live in a 400 square foot apartment in South End. You know what I mean? It's like people just got a breed because they loved the look, because my friend has one, and they didn't do enough research on, so now you've just got all of these dogs who just don't have anywhere to go.
It must be infuriating to be able to just, already know the storyline before you even dig into it, I've seen it a million times. That sort of thing. This keeps coming up because it's the breeder thing, and I should go full disclosure. I have 2 rescue dogs, so I'm partial to this. I try not to judge the people that do the breeder thing, just because it's not great for my mind space. No. Well, yeah. What's your take on that?
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
And I thank you for asking that. Maybe 5, 6, maybe 10 years ago, screw the breeders. I wish that in New England or in the country that good breeders, right, who vet their purchasers, who do the DNA testing, who have the people sign a contract saying if 2 years you have a baby and the dog goes after your baby, that dog comes back to me. They also have the purchasers sign a contract saying I won't breed, spay and neuter, blah, 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 blah. That's a great breeder. That's a breeder, breeders who are getting into, not the business, but breeders who are doing it to preserve the bloodline, like all of those things.
Yep.
So I wish those breeders and really good reputable rescues, right, who are on the up and up, who are registered with the Department of Agriculture, who every time they adopt out a dog, if for a few years later it doesn't work out, they take the dog back. I wish that we could all get together to take down the sort of the puppy mills and the commercial breeding facilities, and then also the people who go into rescue who are really just becoming, wink, wink, dog, like, oh, we're a rescue, but they're really just dog flippers, right?
Okay.
They're adopting them out unspayed, neutered, no vaccines. But the two groups have been polarized for so many years. It's almost like pro-choice, pro-life. It's like, it's so difficult to find a middle ground. And so we have a small group of people within Sweet Paws who are very slowly, because none of us have enough time, is to try and bridge that gap where you have good breeders coming together and good rescues. Because what I would love to have on my page, if you don't want to go the rescue route, it's not my job to judge you or convince you, but here on our rescue page is a list of vetted good breeders, because I don't want you to drive to Pennsylvania and get a German Shepherd from the Amish. I would love you to go to Sally Smith, who, lives in New Hampshire, and she does, 1 litter every 2 years, and like her dogs are guaranteed and all that stuff. Like, you're never going to take out the breeders, and I wouldn't necessarily want to. But one industry is overly regulated, rescues, and then one industry, because of lobbyists, there's no oversight at all. You can literally do whatever you want to breed a dog and make money. As long as you have a kennel license in the state of Massachusetts, you can do whatever, you can breed whatever you want and sell it, and for nothing, for no taxes, nothing.
Okay, well, Cynthia, I didn't realize how infuriating this interview was going to be so far.
But we're an amazing organization, and we love animals, and I just want to give a shout out to everybody in the Newburyport area and Merrimack Valley, that we would not exist without our supporters, all of the people in Newburyport, Amesbury, Newbury, that all of the businesses that support us as an organization. Like, again, we are nothing without our volunteers and the people who love us and constantly invite us into their establishments to, host events. Like, we're always at Riverside and Beowulf and like everywhere, all over the place.
What if somebody's watching this right now and listening and saying, I've been wanting to get a dog. Maybe it's time after one has passed on. People need some time sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what? Now is a good time. I can help out this problem. How did they go about contacting you? How do they find you?
Yeah, so we, just like most organizations, we have a website.
Yep.
Our Facebook page is fun. We try to balance it with like, here's a litter of puppies dumped on the side of the road, and then look at this amazing story. This dog was adopted.
Yeah.
'Cause
Those dogs really do get adopted quickly.
Yeah,
right?
but
When
we
they
also don't want to do like the Sarah McLachlan, like with the violin and like the dogs like shivering in the corner and you can't do anything about it. We have a website, sweetpawsrescue.org. Just go on there. You can contact us. Any email that goes to the organization comes right to my phone. I run the whole organization from my cell phone. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. One thing that came up with my family, so I have I have a 15-year-old hound dog who is probably the closest dog I've ever connected with. I love the guy, but we got him like he was an adult, 3 to 5. They said 3 to 5 years old, and we learned quickly that he had some issues.
3 to 5 is probably the most vulnerable age because people either want like, I want a hospice dog, I want to see an elderly dog, or I want a puppy.
Yeah.
Those in between ages, thank you for rescuing him because those are the ages that people are like, nah.
Most rewarding thing, I think. But he did have issues and sleeping and, startling and biting, first instinct, that sort of thing.
Yep.
Got me several. I have scars that I'll always remember him even when he passes away. So some like serious stuff. And, you get some family members encourage you don't want this kind of dog.
Yes. Oh my God. Totally.
And like that just wasn't happening. And when it comes to me, it's just I love this dog. But you do within my family even people I'm very, very close with would tell me things like, when you go the rescue route, sometimes you never know what you're going to get. And I know it infuriates me. Mm-hmm. Can you just say you never know what you're going to get with any dog, first of all?
It's funny. If this were a conversation I would have had with you 20 years ago, then it would be different. But everybody needs to remember when they say something like that is there's no regulation on breeding. Mm-hmm. So I can't tell you how many litters of puppies that we have rescued from a breeder, air quotes again, that are breeding two breeds that don't go together. So if you have, let's just say the poodle, right? The doodle is the most popular, or the Frenchie is the most popular breed in the United States, but the doodles, the oodles, right?
The Frenchie is right now, really?
Frenchie is right now.
Wow.
But again, like humans, like we always do, we have created these poor Frenchies in like petri dishes, and now they're coming out with colors that they're not supposed to, which are like recessive genes and the brachial issues with their noses, and like veterinarians don't want to spay them because their noses are so smushed in. So the human beings have just sort of screwed with, if you for lack of a better term, with so many breeds to make them desirable for people who are like, I want a pug with the biggest, googliest eyes ever. Yeah. No, you don't, because that dog's going to have issues. So again, to answer your question is, you never know what you're going to get. I think you can't say that anymore because, anybody can say it, but you can't say that anymore because if there was really strict regulations on breeding, then I would say, yes, you're 100% right. But everybody needs to remember that 99% of the dogs out there originated from a breeder at some point, right? They came from somebody who was most likely intentionally breeding. I cannot tell you how many, I would say the vast majority of the animals, the dogs that we're rescuing here in New England that are being dumped all over the place originated from a breeder because they are, quote, sort of purebred-ish a little bit, like they're doodles or Yorkies or Shih Tzus. Like all of those dogs were all purchased from breeders because they're not spayed or neutered. So they're not, the people that are dumping animals in New England, okay, yes, a handful of them are somebody adopted a dog, the rescue wouldn't take it back, they got desperate, so they dumped it. The vast majority of the dogs, look at all the huskies that we're getting. Yeah. People are breeding huskies. Okay, well, that's a breeder. Yeah. Well, that's not a good breeder. Okay, well, what constitutes a good breeder, right? Yeah, yeah. Again, I'm not coming down on the breeding industry. It's not the industry, it's that there's no regulation over breeding. So if you're like, oh, I love huskies and I really love pugs, I want to start breeding them. Okay, so would you tell your friend, hey, I got this friend of mine, he's now breeding huskies and pugs. So would you adopt one of those dogs because you know where it came from? But you're breeding huskies and pugs. Like, so it's just it's a sort of ignorant statement, because for example, we have 4 nursing mothers right now. The mamas are amazing. We don't know who daddies are. The babies were born in rescue. They're all nursing. They're nursing till 8 weeks. The mother has a fantastic temperament. So would you not go the rescue route because you didn't know who the daddy was, but the puppies are well socialized, born in rescue, the mom's got a great temperament, but you would go to the breeder that's breeding pugs and huskies together?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like
insane.
If you want to say something like that, qualify it with like, you want to know what you get. Okay, then end that statement with, you really should go and look and do some reviews on a really good breeder if you're looking for a specific breed.
Okay.
Because rescue dogs get a bad rap just because they're that there's so many.
Yeah.
But they were wronged by some human.
Yeah.
So it's not the dog's fault.
It is funny. I never think about that. 99% were probably in a breeder in the first place. That's,
yeah, I mean, it could be like 50 years ago, but
Yeah.
I mean, dogs
The
were
origination.
domesticated because of people, right?
Yeah.
So at some point, every single dog came from a dog that was bred on purpose.
Yeah, it's something, I don't know. I have found it extra rewarding having rescue dogs too.
I appreciate that.
Which is,
Thank you.
I don't
Thank
know.
you.
Not trying to tell you what to do, but it is what it is. It's been.
And the
for
other
me,
thing
it's the
is
only way to go.
you can always, again, if this conversation were 20 years ago, it would be a different conversation. But nowadays, it's like, a lot of these breed-specific rescues, and thank God for them. But like we're not breed-specific.
You'll take anything.
Well, we will take anything as long as a dog isn't aggressive with people or other dogs. Then we will take it. Pit bull, Chihuahua, 19 years old, a newborn or whatever. But the issue is that we have so many purebred animals right now that we will not adopt out a specific breed to somebody unless they know that breed, they have experience in that breed, because that dog got into the situation in the first place because somebody got it and they weren't experienced in the breed. Husky,
Yeah.
German Shepherds. Like, German Shepherds are probably one of the most surrendered breeds in the country. I don't understand. I have my German Shepherd puppy and he's 2 years old and he's intact, and I don't understand why he's guarding our house. Because he's a German Shepherd. That's what he was bred to do.
Yeah.
People just don't understand the breeds. They just
Yeah,
want
yeah.
they want all these different breeds, but they want them all to act like a chocolate lab.
Yeah. So you would literally interview the people and say, if you haven't had a German Shepherd before, you can't have this?
It depends. And here's the thing. People were like, well, rescues are so hard, right? Like, I could just go to the mall and get a dog,
Yeah.
and they're not going to, I could be 90 years old and I don't care. Yes. And when that person passes away, or you got a husky from the mall
Yeah.
and you don't know anything about the breed, who's going to take that dog when when it just isn't working out? The pet store's not going to get it back. The breeder's not, a bad breeder is not going to take it back. So
Yeah.
they get dumped on rescues. So when you say, like, do you interview people and you say no, we say, how much do you know about huskies or shepherds or whatever, because
Yeah.
we don't want to also be one of those organizations. Well, we're a young family, we're looking for this kind of dog, and we say no because you've never had experience with the breed. Well,
Yeah.
when you got to get experience, right?
Sure.
So it all comes down to the person and the person's lifestyle and how much time and how much,
Yeah.
I mean, if you've got like 3 little kids and you want a German Shepherd puppy, I mean, I'm not going to say no, but like sort of give me an argument of why you think that's going to be a good, if you're going to have little kids in and out all day long,
And here's what I know about German Shepherds.
Right, and I'm not even saying that. I mean, German Shepherds are great dogs. That's just
Yeah.
an example. You
Sure,
could
yeah.
take that example across the breed scale, if you will.
Wow, that
Yeah.
is fascinating. The mall thing, I remember that as a kid. I always think about it's cute. Do they even still have them? I haven't been
They
in the mall
do,
in a
but
while.
they are slowly going away.
That's a good thing, right?
Yes,
Because they're the worst.
They are the worst of the
Yeah.
worst. But because the mall puppies are going away and people are becoming more educated on where those puppies are originating from, everybody says they're from puppy mills. Yes, all of the puppies in pet stores throughout the United States originate from some sort of area where there is commercial breeding,
Yeah.
large-scale breeding facilities, not just like, I love Shih Tzus and I'm 70 years old and I have 1 litter. We're talking like massive-scale breeding facilities. So yes, they still exist, but I think we maybe only have like 4 or 5 left in the state of Massachusetts, and that's like we've decreased greatly the amount of pet stores. And we've been trying for years to get the law passed where we will be banning the sale of kittens and puppies in retail stores, because you sort of think like in the 80s, like when I used to go to Liberty Tree Mall, I'm like, oh my God, they're so cute. Like, you know, now I go, I mean, I haven't been to the mall in probably 10 years, but like people forget you're in a mall. They're in like plexiglass cages. Where do you think they go at night? And if they bring a little puppy in and nobody buys him, where do you think he goes at like 16, 17, 18 weeks old when now he's not a cute tiny puppy anymore? There's a very short span of where people will pay, you know, $800 for a little Morkie, right? When they get to be like 4, 6 months old, people don't look at them anymore. So where do you think they go? They're not like playing in the parking lot behind Marshall's at the Liberty Tree Mall, you know? I mean, they're stuck in that plexiglass cage.
I remember seeing that, and your first instinct is adorable. And then I remember even as a kid, though, thinking like, kind of creepy.
Super creepy.
Dog probably shouldn't be in the glass. Like, I remember having that thought as like,
and it just looks at you. Yeah. And it's like, it's in shavings. And you're like, where do you go at night? Because remember, I mean, they're not open 24/7.
Yeah.
So where do they hang out at night? No, they are literally in plexiglass like boxes.
I'm glad to hear there's only a few left.
Yes. But and this state is very forward thinking in what our population, if you will, we sort of know as a culture here in the Commonwealth, like what's wrong and right when it comes to cats and dogs, but things have gotten a little off track over the last couple years. And I was saying to a friend this morning, like, and I literally said, when is Massachusetts, like, it brings tears to my eyes, when are we going to right itself? When are we going to go back to when spaying and neutering was the norm? Ear tipping your cat, you know, spaying and neutering your cat. Don't just move away and leave your cat in your apartment building. It's like these stories that I've always heard, they've always been predominantly from the South, and now it's just the norm. The news has not contacted me in the last 4 years of an animal that we've had in our care, unless it's a severe abuse case.
Yeah.
We're involved in like 6 abuse cases right now. I didn't do abuse cases for like the first like 12 years I was running this organization. It's just everything is heightened because of COVID.
It's become too much of the norm here too.
Totally.
Which is terrible.
Yeah.
All right, so you talked about the boom of the 80s. We're kind of reverting back to that.
Yep.
How do we, does it take now to the year 2045 to work ourselves out of it?
Yeah, I don't know. People ask me this all the time. I think it's, again, because I had the luxury over the last, pre-COVID, so we're in 2024 now. So for the first 16 years of my rescue career, it was predominantly the South. So the men and women that I work with in Mississippi and Alabama are the same group of people since, for a gazillion years ago. We've rescued in the same area. We sort of never stray from, they are our family. We bring them up every year to our big event at Spencer Pierce. It's like we're a big, well-oiled machine. Dysfunctional, but we all love each other. But we have moved mountains over the past 15 years. But I always was just one step away from it because all of those dumped puppies were in rural Mississippi, small community in Alabama.
And you jump in to save the day.
Right, but I get to do it from, I get to go have a Cosmo at night, in Newburyport, and I got to wear nice shoes and stuff and have somewhat of a life. But we up here did the adoption events and the fundraising events, and we adopt the dogs out. So we always got the happy story, oh my God, this dog came from this horrible situation. But we weren't involved in the horrible situation because that was in Mississippi and Alabama, so far away from us, right? Yeah. Because we're Massachusetts and we're educated and we know better. And now those things that have always happened in the South, now, I always used to, again, dark rescue humor, I used to say to my friends, oh my God, could you imagine if we started ever having the problems that they have in the South here in Massachusetts? It will just never go backwards. Yeah. And yes, are we having the amount of issues? Of course not. But we had a whole litter of purebred Great Pyrenees puppies, a litter in a cardboard box dumped at a storage facility outside Logan Airport. What?
Wow.
Who was that? Were that happens every single day where our rescue people live. It just happened yesterday. We put it on our Facebook page.
Wow.
A litter of 5-week-old puppies, in the middle of nowhere. My rescue partner heard of them. She drives up. She always videos so people know she's not lying. There are 5-week-old puppies huddled on the side of the road. But that's normal for where we rescue.
Wow.
It's not normal to find a box of Pyrenees puppies near Logan Airport. Like in Massachusetts, we know better. And it's like every single day post-COVID, I'm waking up and I'm like, that's a first. That's a first. And I've been doing this it'll be 19 years in the fall. Like,
wow.
What? Like, we just know better. So again, a very long-winded answer to your question is, how are we going to have to wait till this generation of animals pass away? We never knew COVID was going to happen, so I have no idea. But I did say this morning, like, when are we going to right itself? Because no rescue in the state of Massachusetts or in all of New England, or actually all across the country, we cannot sustain this. We cannot sustain what is going on right now. It's too much.
You're
They're
right.
just flat out. There are just not enough homes for all the animals that are being born, whether they are on purpose or whether they are oops litters.
And you obviously have staff shortage issues. And
Everybody does.
all your people are overworked.
Yeah, we have 300 volunteers and they're amazing. But of those 300 people, maybe 100 of them are like super dedicated all the time. And, and I try, I don't post a lot of stuff on Facebook because, like I could post something about like, a 1980s John Hughes movie and I have 500 people, I love that movie, like quoting it. And now it's like, I'll post something something as vague as like, when are we just going to be better humans? And it's like 7, because people, they just want to hear happy things. And it's like when you are in animal rescue, it's just, you try to smile, but you wake up every day and you're sort of like, God, how did we get to this point but that can be carried over into the environment, into children, into elderly care. I mean, it's just sort of like, when did we get here?
And you mentioned what ends up happening is these dogs are going to end up being killed, right? I mean, that's
guys,
it's probably already happened.
Guys,
right?
I don't want to talk about this, but I had I was talking to an animal control officer, a Greater Boston area animal control officer. Yesterday, and we're having to put a bunch of it. They're not sweet paws animals because they have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
A little bit shy, a little bit growly, need some training, need some time. If this were pre-COVID, we would have all the time in the world, but we don't, because if you don't get them in and out, we're so clogged up right now.
Yeah. I mean, literally, you can't.
Yes, so yes, 100%.
Just so people can see that
Massachusetts residents, everybody needs to listen that Massachusetts stray dogs are being picked up off the street and they are being euthanized. If anybody wants to come at me and say that that's not true, please give me a call, send me an email. That is absolutely the case right now. And it's nobody's fault other than the people who are bringing these dogs into the world when there aren't enough homes. It's no rescue's fault. We're trying to do the best we can. So people are like, I can't believe that animal was euthanized. Do you want to take that animal? Nope. Because we have to make room for the next one. And unfortunately, nowadays, animals almost need to be 100% bomb-proof. They can't look at you the wrong way. They have to be all perfect, And pre-COVID, it was like people would take on projects. And now it's just there are too many projects.
Oh man, Cynthia's sweet.
I'm always so positive and upbeat.
Well, you are.
But we are a very positive and upbeat organization. But when I am asked questions, I need to give people the reality of what's going on.
I know quite a bit about your organization.
Thank
actually,
you.
I've heard only wonderful things from everybody who's ever got dogs and worked with your people. And thank you. You're a great spokesman for the rescue dog and the stray dog. And as someone who has 2 of them, I appreciate that very much. I think I got mine up in Gloucester back in the day. Do all the rescues
Cape Animal.
Do we all like each other?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Yes.
We all work together.
Yeah, we're not like taking other rescues out at the knees like Tanya Harding. No.
All that said, you still find those moments where you see dogs end up in happy families.
100. And when I'm walking downtown Newburyport and I'm wearing my sweatshirt or I see a dog, and I always say, "Where did you get the dog?" And they're like, "Sweet Paws Rescue." And I'm like, "Oh my God, thank you." Or somebody will see my sweatshirt and they say, "Do you work with or do you volunteer?" And I'm always like, depends on what you're going to ask. Do you have a good dog or a good cat? Yes, I run it. Oh, no, we have a dog and he's really screwed up. And I'm like, I don't know them. I just found the sweatshirt on the side of the road. Yeah. But we cannot thank enough all of the people in this area who love us and support us, and host us at all of these awesome places because we need to continue. Even we've been around forever, but we still need to get the word out because we're always going to have animals that are in need.
All right, Cynthia Sweet. I hope you all learned a lot today. I know I did. I'm a dog lover. I know a lot about this, and I learned a lot today too. So this was great stuff here, and I think I think a lot of people maybe don't even know about how dire the situation is in a lot of these.
Yeah, to
places.
step up,
All of these
foster,
places.
volunteer, reach out to your local animal organization and ask what you can do to help. And then as the months go on, we're going to be asking people to contact their legislators to help support the animal control officers in the state who are totally understaffed, overwhelmed, and we're working too hard.
All right, we'll end with that for the day. All right, thank you, Mae Power, producing the show, Sarah Hayden, the boss, Maya Gaspin, Ryan Rothberg, our small but mighty team here in Newburyport. Thank you all. Sweet Paws Rescue, Cynthia Sweet. We'll see you next time, everybody.